Welcome back to Cavs Corner. I'm Mitchell, and I'm joined today by my co-host Brig. And today we're talking about why we should be excited about this upcoming Cavs schedule. The season starts tomorrow as we record this, and we're really excited to watch the first game against the Raptors, as well as several other things. Right off the bat, we do have some news to get to. So the Cavs announced that Max Struess is out. He's going to miss at least 6 weeks, and they're saying he'll be reassessed in 6 weeks, which means it could potentially be longer. This is an ankle injury that he sustained while he was practicing with team coaches. I think he landed on the foot of a coach and just really messed up his ankle. So that's a bummer. Kenny Atkinson's playing it coy on who's going to replace him in the starting lineup, at least for opening night. So starting off the season with an injury, never a good sign. Brig, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's just an unfortunate blow for the Cavs, of course, to lose one of their primary starters that they've been using or that they used for most of the last season. But I think it will give opportunities to some of those other role players to get more run time, like Jalen Tyson is the first guy that comes to mind. He'll probably get a little bit of a bigger role off the bench, which you never know if that'll put pressure on him or if it'll just be good for his growth to be able to get that playing time. But yeah, it's kind of an unfortunate blow, but I don't think it should impact the season too much for the Cavs. And I think that they should be able to bounce back okay. And hopefully it won't affect much of their winning, at least through the first 6 weeks.
Yeah, go figure. It happened to the position where we have the least amount of high-end talent. And I'd say we do have some depth on the wing, but not necessarily in the same 3-and-D archetype as Max Struess. You know, those big 3-and-D wings are the toughest players to come by in the league. And so to lose our closest facsimile to that, who has any experience in the NBA, isn't great. But hopefully, we can find some silver linings for it. So this is supposed to be a really energetic podcast, an optimistic one. So let's put the injury news behind us, and I'll start off with our first question here. So, Brig, why should Cavs fans be optimistic heading into this season?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic this season. I think that we have a really strong foundation of the last 2 seasons to build off of. Our core has had a significant amount of time to play together and to really learn together and to grow that chemistry together. And we've talked a lot about Kenny Atkinson on this podcast, but honestly, I think that he will be a huge reason to be super excited for this season. I don't know about you, but personally, I hate to say this out loud, to be honest with you. I really thought that JB Bickerstaff needed to be out for most of the season last year. We were texting about it, I remember, all season, and I remember like in December, I was like, nope, he needs to be gone.
And I disagreed, to be clear.
Yeah.
And, I'm not mad about the Atkinson hire, but I didn't think he needed to be fired.
Anyway, yeah. And you never root for a guy to lose his job. And like, I have nothing against JB as a person. I just thought that the Cavs needed a different voice in the locker room. You could kind of tell from their play on the court that there was a lot of potential that was being left off the court. From a chemistry and from a scheming perspective. So I think that there's a lot of reasons to be excited. I think that we probably would have beat the Magic in fewer than 7 games if we had a more maybe offensive-minded coach last year, hopefully. And I think that we probably would have had a more competitive series with Boston. And again, I know that injuries played a solid role in that. But a reason to be optimistic this season is that, we have a more offensive-minded head coach. We have solid chemistry between the players, and hopefully injuries won't hit us as badly as they did last year. So hopefully health will be another huge reason to be optimistic. We already got off to a bad start with Max Struess, but I'm still optimistic. That's not a reason to dampen my mood going into tomorrow night's season opening game.
Yeah, I think those are some good points. And for me, when I think about optimism for the season ahead, I have to really parse out 2 different parts of my brain here. So one is the cold, kind of calculating GM mind in me that says, how can we build a roster to maximize our chance to win a championship? And I do think that's the way you should approach team building and roster construction. And I'm not going to back down from that. However, as a fan, enjoying the games doesn't mean that we have to be competing for a finals appearance. And so I think for me, I have to separate those two things, right? Some of my favorite basketball to watch is when when we're tanking and we have lottery picks who just get to play and you get to see their development and grow, even if we lose a lot. So there's fun to be had even when we're not competing at the top of the sport. But I'll say this year, I do think we can be competing at the top of the Eastern Conference. I think reasons for optimism include the fact that we are historically a good regular season team. The defensive scaffolding that's built in with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen just make it very difficult for teams to face us on a night in, night out basis from the defensive side. And sure, it exposes some weaknesses in the playoffs, but in the regular season, that's tough for a lot of teams. And so between them and our offensive minded guards, I think we're going to rack up wins. I personally have a great time with this team in the regular season, especially 2 years ago when we had all those Cavalanches. There's nothing quite like just blitzing a team. I certainly miss Jetty and his impact on those. Not so much some of his other contributions, but I'm looking forward. I hope we can have more Cavalanches this year. I hope we can blow some teams out. I hope we can have some fun down to the wire finishes. Donnie's incredible individual performances from time to time, a random Karras 50-point game. I think as you go through the regular season, there's a lot to enjoy from a night in, night out basis without thinking about how does this set us up for the playoffs. I have my reservations about how we're going to perform in the playoffs based on our roster construction, but I think it's going to be a very fun regular season with a lot of wins. And I think this will be a fun team to watch play. We have a lot of young players, a lot of athleticism, and a new coach and a new system that should bring some freshness and newness. So if you're looking for reasons for optimism, those are the first things that come to my mind.
Yeah, and I have one more thing up on that too. I think that I would be surprised if the roster is the same at the end of the season. The roster at the end of the season is the same as it is when we start the season. And like you said, the roster construction isn't really made at the moment to be optimized in the playoffs. But I would expect that there will be some trades, there will be some moves during the season. At least I hope that if we're not performing as well as we think we might be able to. And so I think that that's another reason for optimism in my mind, is that the roster might become more optimized throughout the season through various moves. And so that's something that I hope will happen, and that gives me hope for this season too as well. I don't think there'll be as much of a power of friendship this year as I felt like that was kind of the JB Bickerstaff mantra was, the junkyard dogs, like we're a family, like the power of friendship kind of, we like outcompeted our talent level, but hopefully this season we'll be able to kind of just raise that talent level a little bit more so that we don't have to just rely on the power of friendship.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I do think there's, let's see, how do I want to put this? I think there's a way for us to really enjoy the season as fans while still being critical when we need to be critical, mm-hmm. right? And so hopefully we can strike that balance. But at the beginning of the season, there's not much to be disappointed about. Sure, you could be maybe disappointed that we didn't make moves in the off season, but look, we've got a clean slate ahead of us, a brand new season where really the sky's the limit. And so let's be excited heading into it and just really, I think, soak in every moment of Cavs basketball. And to that point, talking about a limitless ceiling, let's get out over our skis for a moment here. If we're going to, let me put it this way, what would have to happen for the Cavs to go to the finals and maybe even win a championship this year? What would have to happen?
I think that, like, without looking at the landscape of the East, which I know might not be a great start to this answer, but without like hoping for injuries to players or just kind of taking the East as is right now and assuming that Joel Embiid and Paul George will get healthy. I know that they're starting the season out, but assuming that those two will be healthy and the rest of the East stays the same as it is right now, I think that what needs to happen is everybody needs to play to their max potential, right? I think that it's been said many times, mostly on other podcasts because we haven't been around for too long, to be honest. But Evan Mobley needs to be Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell need to be almost a Shaq Kobe type of pairing. I feel like Donovan Mitchell is a Kobe light version at the moment. He's not, and I don't think he'll ever get to that full on Kobe Black Mamba level. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, you're talking about one of the 10 best players in the league, maybe even less than that. He's nowhere near that. But I can see what you're talking about. The similar skill set, just to a lower degree.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he needs to be at Kobe's level, but I think he has that, all NBA caliber play, which I think is as good as it's going to get for him. And I think that it's good enough if Evan Mobley's able to elevate his game the way that everybody thought when he was coming into the league. I think if he's able to, he needs to be able to step out and shoot, to stretch the floor a little bit. They tried that a little bit last year. It didn't get too far. He didn't take a ton of attempts, but he had a decent enough percentage. I think that he needs to develop a lot of confidence in himself as a player to be able to be the guy. I think that he's kind of had this mindset of he's not the guy. He kind of takes his reps when he can get them, but I think that he needs to develop a lot more confidence in himself during the season. And Darius and Donovan in particular really need to look to get him the ball. And so I think those are the two things in my mind that need to happen is Donovan Mitchell just continuing to play at his All-NBA caliber, and then Evan Mobley really coming close to reaching his roof, being a dominant defensive force like he has been, and really elevating his game on the offensive level on the offensive side as well. And one more thing I want to add is I think the bench will need to step up too. I think that the bench will need to be solid with the role players just really stepping in and making shots when it counts. I felt like at times during the season last year that they couldn't be relied on to hit shots as well. Like you said, that there were those crazy 50-point games from role players here and there, but it wasn't consistent. It was more of the spurts, and I think that consistent level needs to be had during the playoffs. But what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, this is a fun question to just kind of talk about as a way to frame the season, but there are so many things that would have to happen for the Cavs to be finals, to be competitive in the finals. I really don't expect us to get there, but to humor us with this question, let me run through a few of the things. One, our core four all need to hit their ceiling this year. That means that Donovan Mitchell, like you said, needs to be playing at his max. Darius Garland needs to become the gunner that he can be. Think Trae Young type of volume of both 3-point shooting and also passing. And then Evan Mobley needs to become, I don't know, like Wembanyama light or probably even better than him on offense, honestly. So, and Jared Allen continues. All four of them need to get better, especially Evan and DG need to really take huge leaps, and they need to gel in the new system. There needs to be injuries to other teams, and some good luck, some breaks along the way. You hope the Western Conference representative really just gets beat up through the gauntlet that they'll have to go through to reach the finals. You hope you miss Boston and they're on the other side of the bracket and get upset. I just think, and you probably need a midseason trade to bolster the 3 position and something else. So there's just a lot of things that would have to go right. I don't expect any of it to happen, but it's fun to think about. We are not far enough away. We're close enough to competing for a championship that, you could outline a handful of steps to see us get there. It's just those steps are, astronomical for right now. But I do think over the course of a few seasons, we'll get there. But it is fun to dream, and there's a non-zero chance that we make it to the finals. I just wouldn't put any money on it.
Yeah, no, totally. And something that came to my mind while you were talking there was just going back to 2021. I think it was the Heat, or was that 22? Anyway, 21 or 22 when the Heat made it to the finals that year. That was an incredible. Nobody was expecting them to get there. I think it would need to be something like that for the Cavs. I think that confidence will be one of the needed things, especially for this team, for each player to have that confident stroke and the confident play style, and just shots to fall during the season. So Okay. And also, I think that I think that the bench. I mentioned this earlier, but it's been said before that in playing playoff series, you need to have your star players win a couple of games, and you need to have the bench win one game, and you need to have the role players win one game. And so I think that if everybody plays confident and just like you said, things just break the right way, we might be able to have that Miami Heat type of run where they just unexpectedly make it to the finals, maybe missing some of those heavy hitters like you're saying, like Boston, and just kind of playing above their expectations, I guess I should say.
Yeah, for sure. And so on that note, let's wrap up with this question here. Who do you think is going to be the most important role player for this season?
That's a great question. Do you want to start with that one? Do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, most important role player. So I'll ask myself the question here. I was going to say this anyway, but I think it's even more true with the Max Struess injury. But I think Dean Wade is the most important role player in my mind. We don't know who's going to start in that three position, but if it was me, I would put in Dean Wade. I assume that's what Atkinson's going to do, but we'll see tomorrow night. But even before the chance of him starting, I think that him having a good year, an injury-free year where his confidence is up and his defense is clicking and his shot is falling, he fills a need on the team that no one else on the team can fill. The problem is he's done it too inconsistently up to this point because of those things that I talked about, right? Injuries being chief among them. And so I think Dean Wade is the most important role player because if we get what he brings to the table, it takes our offense and our defense, it takes our whole team maybe another step forward. And he's able to guard the big wings on the other team. He's able to stretch the floor. He's able to get rebounds and be a connector on the offensive side. I really just think Dean Wade is good, is underrated, and if he can really step up this season, like I think he will, I think there's a chance he takes the starting three job from Struess. I guess now with the injury, it's possible that he starts off with it and then just doesn't give it up. But I even think there's a chance he could win it from Struess this season because of just the mold that he fits just is so needed on this team.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I think that my mind goes back to the Larry Markkinen on the Cavs days, that 1 year that we really had with him back in 21. And he really helped to get this team to way above everybody's expectations, almost double the amount of wins than I think the previous year, the expectations for that year. But so I could see Dean Wade absolutely being that way. I kind of want to take it in a different direction. I think that instead of you went kind of a big route. I mean, of course, Dean's going to play the three, but he's like 6'10". He's huge. I want to take it more towards Ty Jerome. I think that Ty Jerome could be the most important role player. He's a guy that we didn't have on the team like all year last season because of injuries. But if he's able to step in and play that backup point guard role, to be able to knock down threes off the bench and to just be the floor general for the second unit, I think that would be huge. Of course, we'll probably have one of either Donovan or Darius on the floor, but also being able to have Ty Jerome out there when you need to, assuming like if there's injuries or anything like that. But just having him out there, being able to knock down shots and space the floor to hit open guys. I think that in my mind, when I play basketball, just for the viewers, I'm decently tall. I'm 6'7", so I normally play a big position whenever I play on teams. And from my perspective, the most important player to me that I would have on a team is a good point guard. I'm not able to take the ball up the floor. My handles just aren't there. But I've seen on many of my teams that having a great point guard just unlocks everything else. And without a good point guard, especially on the second unit, if you're having Karis LeVert take the ball up the floor, he's not as much of a distributor. He's not as much as unlocking everybody else on the offensive side in the second unit. So I think Ty Jerome. And I know that he's a pretty unproven commodity on the Cavs. I know that he did well in Golden State, but I think that he may be the most important role player for the Cavs to have a successful season this year.
Yeah, there's been glowing reports about him coming from the Cavs, and I know Kenny Atkinson has experience with him back in their Golden State days, so we'll see how that goes. I'm curious to see how much Atkinson staggers Donnie and DG and just has one of them on the floor at all times running the point, or if Jerome will give him the opportunity to either rest a little bit more or play Donnie off ball or something along those lines. Also, we can't forget about CPJ. I don't think he's looked very good in the preseason so far. You can only learn so much from the preseason, but he had some big games last year, and he fits that mold as well. So we'll see how things go, but we'll ultimately find out who the starter is going to be and how this team's going to look and play. At least our first glimpse of it will be tomorrow or Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern. The Cavs will take on the Raptors in Toronto. We're looking forward to it. Make sure to leave a comment. We want your answers to all these questions. Find us on YouTube, leave a comment and subscribe. Or if you're listening on podcast, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere where pods are cast, you can find us. So make sure to follow the show. We look forward to the season starting tomorrow as we record this. Looking forward to a great season, and thank everyone for their support, and go Cavs.